Hello and happy Monday for the last one for the year. For us anyway, at Monday Night Live. Do excuse a little bit of a hiatus, Monday Night Live, like you, like everyone else. I just needed a little bit of time off actually. It's been an incredibly challenging 2020 for a lot of people. Us included, that love me, love you. Which we're very happy with how we're all ending. We're all finishing 2020. Obviously, the roller coaster that it was for that period in between the start and the finish, quite challenging for all. But it's been an emotional time of late as well. My auntie passed away. My mum's oldest sister passed away a couple of weeks ago. So it's been a challenging time with our family, but staying strong and showing my mum and the rest of the family as much support as we possibly can. Also, just moving forward with all of that, this year 2020, the emotional roller coaster that it has been. Not just with COVID, obviously the start of the year with our bushfire devastation that was caused, which ravaged the east coast of Australia and a lot of Victoria, and having to deal with that stress and the experience there, and not even living there. Our parents lived down in Gippsland, and dealing with it, learning and living with that stress and pretty much the fear of anticipation for what was all happening down there, and the devastation that caused. I recently went down there last week, and he was speaking to the lady in the cafe and just talking about how long it's going to take for that area and the people to still recover. There's still people living in caravans that that have their houses taken out, burnt down, still living in vans on their lots and still waiting for resources and opportunities that the government had promised them. But it's a conversation that we can go to on another day, not right now. But on that, top of that, part of the excitement about one bit I am excited about with in terms of the relationship with the bushfires and what happened is that I was fortunate enough to be asked to be put on a show, on a TV show called Beyond the Fires, which is actually airing on January 2nd, I'm pretty sure, which is a 7-part series show, which is going to go through the devastation, go through all of it, get right in the background of what happened in the live scenes, right through from when the bushfires are happening, and to post, and the ripple effect that the devastation of the bushfires has caused through people's lives and communities and families, taking away a lot of livelihoods, taking a lot away people's houses and valuable assets and lives, and the amount of lives that were also lost through that period of time, which is something that we take our hats off to all the people in the community and the societies around that area that actually really stood fat and made it work and bonded together and just showed that true Aussie grit of rocking it through and getting it done, supporting each other. Which was, for having to see that sort of thing at the start of the year, and then see the recovery process, that they're going through still, and the amount of support and the funds that were raised and just contributions from people that didn't have anything to be able to give something, which just shows what we all can be made of when we're put in that position. Hopefully it's that time that we don't have to be put in that position to actually think that we can give, but that's the world that we live in. So and then we hit for us that Love Me Love You, we started off really shaky in through that period of time and pumping through our first march our March with Me, which was are we doing, we're not doing, we're doing, we're not doing, we're not doing, due to the COVID real experience there, which had us, smacked us, which most people like myself probably thought it was going to be over in 2 weeks time. We'll just shut it down, bang 2 weeks, and then we'll get back into life and we'll be all okay. And little did we know that we'd be 8 months later before we kick back into some level of real normality, even with that 2 week period in between that we're all free. So, and then obviously New South Wales going back into that right now, which is, the thoughts and prayers are with you all up there to see if anyone's got family and friends up there, which we do. I have family up there, so hopefully they can all stay safe and I can get through this period of time. But the March didn't go ahead, so this is obviously a bit of a recap session for where our year was, and just going into some movements, what we are looking at into 2021. And a lot of big thanks as well. A huge amount of thanks for the amount of people that supported Love Me Love You forever. The ones that there's been people that have supported us forever since our day dot, and there's been people that have really stepped up again in 2020, where we were in dire straits, and this is to be honest with everything about it, that we were in a position which was quite tricky. Be like most organisations and businesses and people were really battling after that first few months, heading into June. That 3 month period from March to June, to the start of June, really rocked a lot of organisations, people, and in terms of financially, and working through that position. And we only had a couple of weeks left to where we were at because life stopped for us. And that's sad to see that we think that was the situation. But we're very, very lucky that, a couple of organisations really stepped up in that process and funded us, which gave us funding opportunities. Marshall White Foundation, who have been big supporters of ours for the last 4 years or so, and the Marshall White crew, who are just amazing people. And we really appreciate the support that they've given Love Me Love You and myself over this period of time. We also, Vic Health funded development of our online programs, so we can actually get something out there, so we can start still educating and creating that awareness pieces around that. So we're very appreciative of that, and Kirsten Corbin, an amazing legend out there at Vic Health, and Chris and the team. We do appreciate your support and look forward to moving more forward in 2021 with a lot more stuff in the sports club, schools, and the corporate space there. We're also very lucky, and I say this is, we are lucky. We're chosen and thought of as the benefactor of a person's passing. His family bequest was to give Love Me Love You a part of the money in the will, which, for the Johnston family, we are extremely unbelievably humbled by that experience. And I'm never am I really lost for words in how it all works, but I was lost for words when you gave me a call, mate, and go work through that experience and then got that all happening, and that really put us in a really big position moving forward. And then life just started snowballing, and the effort and the energy that our team put in through that first 3 to 4 months of that COVID period, the energy with not much idea of where we were heading at that time because of what was happening, and nobody knew what they were doing. But the energy and effort that they all put in, I couldn't have been more proud of how we all worked through that process and come out the other side. And from June to October, to the end of October, start of November, I myself was averaging between 15 to 18 hours of presenting a week through that period of time. Just showed the effort that was being put in by the team, the partnerships, the relationships, and that was all corporate work, that was podcasts, that was the amount of webinars that I was doing, the amount of peer-to-peer support training sessions that we were doing, and it went on, and it was just amazing to see the response from the corporate world, because they realised that the investment and the impact that it was having on their people, and the idea that if you don't invest in your people, you're not going to have your people anymore, and your people are your product. So make that happen for your organisation, and we were, they just snowballed, and everything just started rolling forward, and we were going well. and as an organisation, as a leader of this organisation, the stress was then relieved a little bit due to the fact of, as I said, those three big manufacturers of support that come through, plus the servicing education, plus the little bits that were coming through from all the little supporters, plus the ongoing continued support from I'm talking life, love me, love you, lifelong supporters of Miller Leith recruiting, so Stephen Borg and the team out there, and also Pino Di Roberto, who is the most amazing, beautiful man in the world from Montford Insurance, who just continued to step up with support, and when they were all going through their own battles, through personal and business, to be able to support Love Me Love You and make that happen. And that moves on forward with us again. We're now launching a couple of different new partnerships with Western Water and King Chrome being a couple of the big ones there. Obviously the work we do with Bunnings and the amazing people out at Bunnings, and looking forward to a bigger 2021 with them. Lifesaver Victoria, as I said, Marshall White. I'm talking about NABS. I'm talking about National Electrical Communications Association, they're called NECA. Looking forward to kicking back into there. The amount of schools, the clubs, the work that we're doing all over the space. We through our education, through our peer-to-peer support training, through our resource programs are online, through face-to-face journey awareness presentations, through the support pathway program, which is the most the program that we're really proud of, and I'm very proud of, which is being head up by Jimmy MacArthur, or Source, as some a lot of may know you as, mate. But working through that, the amount of people that have had to actually reach out into that program in the support pathway this year has pretty much tripled on previous years, due to the impact that life thrown us this year. It's really scary, it's really tricky when you think about it, because just to think the amount of people that did reach out, but then you think about all the people that didn't, and what happened, and those people that did slip through the cracks. They talk of the suicide rate increasing, spiking through that 6-month period of through isolation, the hardcore isolation. And not to say the numbers, because there's no real-time data on the numbers of mental illness rates and the suicide rates, and people that they just keep on reporting them out there. You can't. There's no real data to that, because they can't report that at this stage. So, but we do know from the reports through hospitals and coroners and all those places that there was a spike. That they did see a huge amount increase in the numbers there, and also the work that we're talking about in the psychology and mental health space was once again stretched too far from an experience or a resource or a system that is failing a lot of people. But we're here to change that and help people move forward with that, because it's at Love Me Love You, we do keep saying that there's no one that travels the journey alone, or no one should travel the journey alone, but they still do, and they still go through this system, slipping through the cracks and not getting the support that they need. And I'm talking about from the professionals. I'm talking about the support from the people that are surrounding them. We still live in a society of judgment and bias, and we need to change and normalise their very behaviours and language and their physical approach and emotional approach to how it all works, so that people can get the help and they have those conversations without the fear of, as I said, judgment or bias for the fact of what's happening in their lives. But this also goes back to the point that we keep talking about, and we're not here to say that people don't go through all these challenges in life, but understand that there's a difference between a mental health challenge and a mental illness. In terms of the experience, the mental health is the daily stresses of life. That's the challenges and everything that hits it. And mental health is actually a flourishing component of our life, our mindset, and the ability to make it happen. Whereas then a mental illness, a diagnosed mental illness, a clinical mental illness, is where it can get quite devastating for a lot of people. And working through that is a tricky process for a lot of people to understand how they come out the other side. Not to say that the challenges that we all face, and I still face, I still have my demons that I fight with, but I fight back. We all have it, but it also say we're coming into a position that we actually can have these greater conversations about this, the greater connection, greater awareness about the very feeling of making it all work. The challenges that face us all in terms of the stresses that happen in our life is just a needing of what we need to be encouraged, as Michelle says here. I totally agree. We need a community that is supportive and encouraging mental and emotional challenges. Most definitely, Michelle. I always come up with the belters you do, mate. But it is. We just need to be more, create an environment, a society that is more supportive, more inclusive, more engaging, more empowering, more encouraging. So the fact that these conversations, with that mental health awareness shouldn't have to have been done. This is the thing. We keep going on. Mental health awareness should not have to be done, because mental health conversation should be just a normal thing. There should be just a thing that we all talk about. We can talk openly about it. We can talk safely about it, and we can talk like it's just a normalised a language that we can have over dinner tables, over coffees, over whatever it is, walking through the park. But we're still not there. Okay, and the fact that 3 out of 5 people that have a mental illness still don't get the help and support they need. Okay, so 60% of people there. So, 1 in 2 people in their lifetime will be diagnosed with a form of mental illness, or show the signs and symptoms of living with a diagnosable mental illness, but still don't get the support they need. Don't get diagnosed, don't get help. You can't fight something you don't know what you're fighting. So let's make sure that we can create a space that we can all do that. We were very lucky this year. One of the greatest appointments that we were able to make, a few of the greatest appointments we were able to make this year. There's been a turnover of staff at Love Me Love You, and we're very thankful of the people that have worked with us in creating the organisation and its path in the past. But moving forward, Alison Dodd, who I've known since I played footy with her brother as an 11-year-old. Alison Dodd come on this year, at the start of this year, thrown in at the deep end as a general manager for Love Me Love You. And Alison Dodd has done an amazing amount of work with digital development, online, people management, the working process, the relationships, the partnerships that we've all had through Love Me Love You. So we're very thankful, and we'll be stepping up in her role and support and ability to make it actually happen again and again and again on another level in 2021, without the fears of COVID or a bushfire taking over. So good luck, and thanks very much, Alison. Obviously, we got Jimmy MacArthur, as I said, runs a support pathway. He's a support pathway manager, who's just been an amazing support and available. The resource that this guy is amazing, and Love Me Love You is very, very lucky. And moving forward, Love Me Love James will become a bigger part of what our this is thinking about with Love Me Love You moving forward, which I'll talk about in a little bit, where we're going to go. And then there's been a couple of appointments. Neve Hughes and Kate Dent have come on in the last few months, in the last 3 to 4 months, around digital development, office manager, and doing a whole heap of background work and being very efficient and effective in what's being done. And we're very thankful that our paths have crossed, and that we're here to make all this happen. So we appreciate that. A couple of, obviously, our board. We really appreciate the support. I appreciate. I say this at all my board meetings that I am with. That the greatest mentors that a person could ever ask for is in the room that we would call the Love Me Love You boardroom. And that starts from Paul Gregory, our chairman at the top, Mike Schneider, who's just an amazing man, who's the managing director of Bunnings, but one of probably the top 3 greatest blokes you'll ever meet in your life. And the next ones after that would probably be Dalai Lama and me. No, joking. He's probably in the top 2. But then Mike Schneider, with Matthew Pilios, co-founder, who's on the board as well, who's the leading leading real estate agent in Australia as we speak. So we're very lucky to have Matty on board. Greg Bullock, who's our treasurer, who's also the CFO and the COO, I think possibly of the Walmart group, the Can group, the superstar. So we do appreciate the time and effort that he puts in there with us. Jeremy Swider, who's from the principal of MD of Bespoke Legal, who's been with us from the start of Love Me Love You, and continues the amount of support and effort, both professionally and personally, when he rings me at least once a week just to check in and make sure that I'm going okay. Mum, who's the treasure, her mum is the secretary, nicely retired down at Swan Reach, who has a full-time job looking after Dad, which we love him, and Mum being Mum has been an amazing support and effort and resource of just how life should be. So we do thanks Mum. Conrad Spilver, we're very lucky. We appointed Conrad in May, I think it was May, June. For that period of time where it was becoming a little bit tricky, and Conrad is an entrepreneur galore, magician, who is the MD at a place called a newly formed business organisation, creative and marketing organisation called Shadow Boxer, who used to be a CEO at Isobar Group, and was the owner of Virtual Jazz. But as for a man of 41, 42 years of age, very acclaimed in the business world. So we're very lucky, and also, as I said, one of the great people of life. So we're really appreciative of your support there too, Conrad. I just want to say thanks, and she doesn't really usually get a lot of, because my wife is the person usually in the background, and which is without my wife, I wouldn't be alive, and I say this all the time, and I'm not joking here. The conversation and the support and the love, that tricky time in my life in 2011 and leading up to that, and to what is today. My wife and also my mum, but Emma, who's just one of God's angels, who I'm very lucky to have in my life, and to also be the mother of our two amazing boys who are angels but devils, but no, my two amazing little boys, Alexander and Lennox. So we're really thankful for that and making that happen. It's thanks, Dales. You're a superstar, and the never-ending support and never questioning where we're going and what we're doing, the foundation, because you just back us, and like everyone does, to lead this organisation is one of the most proudest and the most accomplished experiences that I have had in my life, because the support and we know the impact that our organisation has in their community, and that is just from the amount of messages and calls that I get from people through these experiences of dealing with the positive impact that it's had on their lives, from the darkest of moments where they've thought that life was the end, life was supposed to be finished, and they were still here because of those or words or captions or things, something that's happened or message that they've received from Love Me Love You, that has triggered something in them to make sure that we're going all right. We're very supportive of all the people that come into contact with Love Me Love You, and we don't get it right all the time, and we know that, and we try our absolute hardest to make sure that we're positively impacting every single person that we have in contact, and sometimes it doesn't go the right way, not through lack of trying or lack of effort, but sometimes that experience just doesn't work out the way that the person on the other end would like it to work out to be. But we are trying as hard as we possibly can, and I know that we have saved hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lives this year, from the programs of education, from the training, from the support, from the resource, from what we do, and obviously it was an emotional time for me at one stage in this life, and I knew a couple of contacts of mine had suicided within the space of a week, is a really challenging time, and a lot of those unanswered questions were starting that happen, which anyone is contact or connected with suicide. Those unanswered questions were there, and took a real emotional toll on me, thinking over and over and over again, what could I have done? Should I have called? Should I have done more? Should I have done more? But we know that you do what you possibly can, and I know I did what I possibly could at that time, to make sure that it was all going through. But and since then, there's been more people that I've known and been a part of that have also either attempted or have taken their own life over this period of time in 2020. So to their family and friends of all those people, and who you are, big hug and big loves to you. It's it's a crap experience. It's devastating, and it's something that you'll never ever. It's one of the hardest things to ever get over. But as I keep saying, in all the talks I do, you got to live on in spirit for the people, pay the respect that it deserves, pay your own life the respect that it deserves. Make sure we're normalising the very conversations and energy around this mental health space, so that people can actually open up, and that their mental health is not going to lead, their mental health challenges aren't going to lead them down to the path of suicide. So please work through that. The amount of stories that I hear of positive effect of the people that have been devastated by it, it's a crazy time to think that we're still in a world that people pass judgment and make it worse for those people that are living with the devastation. And I'm talking even with kids at such a young age. I was at an event. They were very lucky. At an event by 10 by 10 philanthropy group on Thursday night, last Thursday, and I was very lucky to, and I say lucky, I was very lucky to meet a young boy, 11 years of age, Ricky, who had been bullied severely at school, at primary school, at his primary school for a few years, and now onto the brink of suicide when he was 10. I believe, and it was just devastating to hear that experience, but come out the other side. And what I wanted to do was actually just to be the event so we could talk, and we did, and we chatted for a solid period of time. And I said that he talked about he always wanted to give, and I said to him about the fact that if you live your life if you live your life to please others, you're never going to live. And I say that in a wholehearted way, is that you keep giving yourself out to there. And I say this about understanding about how you can't pour from an empty cup. And then if you keep giving, or you keep living for someone else in someone else's life, and you forget to live your own life, you don't live. So, just make sure that you're sort of really rocking it for you and who you are and how you go about it every single day. So to make that work, and to all the Rickies out there, all the people out there that go through challenges and are still not getting support because you believe that nobody loves you. That 100% you just need to allow it to open up a little bit and make sure that the love is coming from here and making that happen. So. And working through all that. So it's we were very lucky, and we had probably the biggest mental health bike ride this year. Ride with Me. There's an organisation called the Knights of Suburbia, ably led by the two founders and their merry men and women, David Rigney and Russell Lee, who stepped up the organisation and the big partners with us for the Ride With Me event this year, which we had over 600 people from all across the world. We raised over $300,000. There was something like 1 million metres climbed. There was like 100,000 kilometres. We went around Australia twice. I was something ridiculous. The effort that was put into that ride with me, and the response and the messages and the awareness that created for us at Love Me Love You and our cause was unbelievable, through the roof. An experience that was choose your own adventure. We thought we'd go into that event and we thought maybe we'd be lucky if 100 people sign up, and that was just the thought. And then it was 100 within the first hour. It just kept going and kept going and kept going. The fundraiser kept going, and the choose your own adventure from all over the world. And I was very, very excited by it, because my son Alexander, who had turned 5 in September, he signed up as well. May have been a little bit heavily encouraged by parents, but he signed up as well, and had on Team Wombats, and was the captain of Team Wombats, and working through that. He set himself as target of riding 5 kilometres non-stop. And for a 5-year-old to ride 5 kilometres non-stop is pretty good effort. Okay, here you are. So, we stepped up, kept messaging, doing all these tricks, doing all this training, doing it all, and checking his donations every single day, and raised over $1,700. Which he thought he was the king, and which he was, which he is. So it was just, an amazing sense to think about how that could possibly be. And then he was shattered by the fact that I had to tell him one day that he wasn't going to receive that money that was coming through from his donation, which is quite funny when you think about it. But at 5, that's what you think. That's what's happening here, But as we said, and our message with Alexander the whole way is, you don't do things because you have to. You do things because you can. And asking people if they're okay, and going out of your way to make sure that people are okay is what it's about. Doing things for people because you can, not because you have to, or because you want to put it all over social media or anywhere and tell everybody about it, how amazing you are. You do it because you can. We're living in a society that we seek gratification for the amount of likes or likes and comments that we get through our social media posts. The lack of substance that creates in a lot of people, it's ridiculous. We see people keep putting it out, and I am one that we do this for work, and we know the connection that it can make. I personally am not much of a social media user and how it works. I actually like to keep myself pretty quiet. And so does my wife, and so does our family. So it's and that's okay, and that's our choice, right? But there's certain ways of understand that people make it a business out of this, but still, there's a level of gratification that a lot of people seek from this world that they don't actually live. Which can become quite scary for a lot of people, and how they're actually sort of then that comparative society that we're living in. So out there, create that substance in who you are and actually how you go about it, not just because you need to put it on social media and make yourself look good. So anyway, and the messaging that comes from there. But anyway, he did that, and then we raised that much money, and the awareness and the effort that went into that. And I'm so unbelievably humbled by that that opportunity, and the amount of people that did it. And from the nicest suburbia, go check them out. The Cycling Kid. I myself, they turned me into a cyclist, which I said for years and years and years, that I would never do it. But now here I am, averaging 250 to 350 a week, 250 to 350 kilometres a week. Majority of them on my trainer. So I'm just building up a little bit more experience on the outside. But someone told me halfway through COVID period, I wanted to come out of this COVID period better than I went in. And I believe for myself and our organisation that is the truth. I myself have lost about 13 kilos from riding my bike and training and being and doing. Not so much watching my food intake, because that's those that know me, that's probably not my greatest strength, but losing the amount of kilos, feeling better about what I'm doing and how I go about it. My meditation levels have stepped up in the morning before I get on the bike, but working through that. And I said to someone the other day, is about just got to find what works for you. You know, there's certain days where I don't get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning because I just need sleep, and that's perfectly fine. And I'm not going to get wrapped over the knuckles for not doing it. But it also works for me to get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and do my bike rides, do my meditation at that time. That's what works for me. I'm not expecting everyone else to do that, but you got to find what works for you and allow it to happen, allow it to be, because it's up to you. You know, because if you don't invest yourself today, you might not have you tomorrow. So you got to keep rocking it. Got to keep rocking it out, make it consistent in your approach, and allow that to happen. We're very lucky. They keep saying we're lucky, amazing responses, all these sorts of things. But the Master with Me was probably missing Master with Me at the start of the year, which was our core biggest event. In terms of fundraising, participation, the whole thing, and due to COVID, we were locked out of that at the start of the year, which was emotional experience not to be a part of, because the connection that event has to a lot of people is huge, and even to me, because it launched the foundation back in 2014 when we launched it with March With Me, where I walked from Sydney to Melbourne, and we had a number of people that participate in that event, and then going through that, not having that for the first time this year, was quite interesting to see where we were at and what we're doing and how I was going to go about it. But we are very lucky, and we're very happy to say that moving forward into 2021, that we will be coming back. Coming back with Master with Me 2021. So looking at the middle of March at this stage, we're just confirming the dates with the councils and we're seeing what's playing out at the moment. But please put it in as a save the date. I think it's the 14th or the 21st. Actually, just save both those dates and see what happens, because that'd be awesome. But going through that, it's we're going to step up the event and COVID compliant, and making sure that all the safety measures are in place, because we don't want to have another experience like going back into lockdown, which creates a lot of fear for a lot of people. I imagine. Same here. But moving through with that and seeing what you're doing, the idea of kicking back into that walk, which will then be followed a month later, what we call an Everest, I think they call it. Cyclists, please tell me if I'm wrong. But I myself, one of my solid great friends, Andy O'Donnell, will be riding up a place called Donabawang, the top half of Donabawang in Warburton area, a number of times to reach the distance climbing of 8,848 meters, the equivalent of Mount Everest in one go. We can have a little rest and myself, but they can't have a sleep. So we are actually going to open that up to whoever wants to come along and whoever wants to participate. And it's not about participating for the whole thing, unless you'd like to, but it will be, you can do one climb up to the top half of Donabawang, or you can do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think, or it's going to cost whatever amount it is for us to get up there. So April 17th, 18th, for that weekend, we'll be doing that, and so stay tuned for details on how that looks. As an organisation, we are a continuous, when I say we're always now we're in a continuous improvement cycle every day, seeing where we're going, how we're going about, what we're doing, how we're going to move forward, how we're going to get better, bigger and better with what we do, how do we reach more people, how do we have more impact on more people, how does our support pathway program have more impact on more people, how do we do that, how do we normalise more conversations, how do we make sure that people don't slip through the cracks. So we're in our process now that we are working through what we call the Love Me Love You Academy, which is very tech orientated, but also physical space. So there's big goals with what I'm doing, what we are doing at Love Me Love You, in terms of the reach and the impact that we can have, to make sure that we this mental health system, well-being system, for a lot of people is something that we can all be proud of, we can all be a part of, and be accessible no matter where you are, and for all our people in regional areas who don't get the support and resource and education, and we're specifically really targeting the regional and remote areas and making sure that people of all walks of life, and whether the driveway is 5 kilometres long or living in the metro suburbs all over the country. So a continuous development there, a lot of improvement that can go through there, a lot of resource, a lot of education, a lot of training, and it is about collaboration. So if you're an organisation or a person out there who'd like to collaborate more with the Love Me Love You organisation, and making that work so we can reach more and have more impact on more people, please reach out to us and let us know. Heading into Christmas should be a joyous time for a lot of people. Should be. But for a lot of people it is a really volatile or stressful time. And there's relationships, families don't always work. I'm very lucky that my family are amazing people, and we all get along and everything's okay, and no one drinks too much on Christmas Day and it causes too much trouble. But I understand that can happen at a lot of families and a lot of people, a lot of networks. So it's making sure we're taking care of ourselves. Don't overindulge, or not reinventing the wheel here. Don't overindulge. Don't be an idiot. Make sure that you're getting enough sleep. Make sure you're looking after yourself. Go for a walk. Do whatever you need to do. Drink water between meals. Whatever it is. But just make sure that we're all in it together. Because we want to go out. As I said, you should always, at the end of your day, you should always go out of your day better than you went in. And hopefully that can work. So, step it up with what you need to do. Whether projects around the house, go with a little bit of showing your partner a little bit more love, as you always should anyway. But what I'm really looking forward to over this next 3 to 4 weeks is actually spending even more quality time with my kids, my boys, and my beautiful wife. So, getting really into it, going bike rides, going little holidays down to my parents' house, and sharing some experiences with the kids, doing things. Don't have to be the biggest event. You just have to be. I think that's the biggest thing for what I'll be taking into this holiday period, because I think what 2020 has taught me is that being present with my family is the most amazing experience that I could ever have thought of or ever been part of, and making that happen and slowing down that very process of living, because life's cool. Life can be a real challenge for a lot of people, and I've been there, done that, and there's nothing that this world can throw at me anymore that I have done up here in my own head. And I say this in the office a lot, is that people say you could walk a mile in my shoes, but you couldn't walk 10 steps in my head. And that goes for a lot of people. A lot of people should be able to say the same thing, because you couldn't. You may think you are experiencing the same, but you'll never experience exactly the same thing. Your emotional responses are different for every individual. But as I keep saying, from the darkest of places we find the brightest of lights. And the challenges that faced us this year has just shined us an opportunity as people in our society, how much we need to be more grateful for each other's experience, each other, making sure that we're all looking out for each other, and deeply finding that investment in love in the person that looks back in the mirror every single day. So for those people that are going to battle, we are actually, on this Thursday, Christmas Eve, we are having a Never Alone barbecue brunch down at J.L. Murphy Reserve, pretty sure, which is down on Williamstown Road, the Port Colts footy ground, between 10 and 12:30. Come along. There's going to be heaps of giveaways, some t-shirts and hats and all these sorts of things. Come along, have a sausage and some food and a drink. There's a playground there. Bring the kids. Hopefully the weather holds up. If not, there's still heaps of cover there to have everyone. Come meet the team from Love Me Love You. And there might be some surprise personalities, superstar guests that also join us for their morning. But that is this Christmas Eve. if you are battling, if you're not battling, you just want to chat, you just want to hang around, you just want to be a part of something, just to show some love. Because that's what we're all about, love. You're just showing some love. Christmas Eve at Port Colts Footy Ground, also on Williamstown Road. The event is in our Facebook page anyway. You can see that. But get onto that and have a look. Between 10 to 12:30. There's no charges. Yeah, it's a free bunch barbecue. It's not the end of the world. It's all about that, and it's all an experience. Come, as I said, have a drink, have a chat, have a hug, have a sausage, have some bacon and eggs. Hopefully, we'll see how that goes with the bacon and eggs, but it might just be sausages. All COVID compliant still. Still keeping safe distances and all those sorts of things that we need to do to make sure that we're okay. But you can still have 1,000 people going to Woolworths and stand on top of each other. But anyway, it's a story for another day. But please to come down. And this little barbecue brunch is a big thing that our co-founder Matt Picioane has been on to for a long time. In how do we all look out for each other that little bit more? Because we do take for granted the very experience of living and being privileged with opportunities of this life, that everything should be okay. But it's not. And it's just not. It's just not how it works. And we apologise for that to the world and who experiences through those challenging and crap times of family and isolation. So please, you are around 10 till 12:30 this Thursday. Come on down to JL Murphy Reserve on Williamstown Road there in Port Melbourne, and have a look and have a chat, conversation. As I said, March with Me 2021. I do need to say, people that have registered for 2020 event and have rolled over their registration, please, that's really exciting, and thank you very much for your support in making that all happen. There's still people that will be not able to attend, will be refunds or happening. It'll all happen in the new year. Per your registration for there. But we'll hopefully reopen the registrations for that in the last week of January and get people pumping and rocking it into it. By then we'll know more information on what we're able to do or not able to do. And then we will just go gangbusters and have thousands of people if we're allowed to. And raise a whole bucket load of awareness and make things happen, and be really, really cool and enjoy it. So it's so we will get there and we make that happen. So as I said, last week of January you'll find out more details on how it all goes down. From everyone at Love Me Love You, from the board to this team at HQ, from our volunteers, from our sponsors, from our partners, from our people, from everybody, and from everyone that supported us. I was like to say Merry Christmas, but Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. I do thank you. There's times this year that I hope you have enjoyed the Monday Night Lives. It's been an experience for me as well, which I've enjoyed. Yeah, we've had some amazing guests and some just real good people, and that's what I think we all need. That real good people just like to hear from good people. Speaking at many events over the years, but people don't connect to fakeness. Yeah, we see that anyway. But we appreciate that how that all looks. In fact, this is not one thing that you'll get from me. Anyway, it's been a great the amount of resource and the power, the knowledge bombs that people have dropped through our Monday Night Live series, which we've had thousands of viewers, but still the most impacting one, the in terms of viewers that we had, was with Darren and Tyler Bell, who lost Darren lost his son, Tyler lost her brother to suicide a few years ago, and they were in our Left Behind video. And if you haven't seen the Left Behind video, go check out our YouTube channel at Love Me Love You Foundation. You'll find that, and you'll see that, and it's had something like over 500,000 views across all of our channels. So that Left Behind video, but they had an amazing impact and had something like 15,000 to 20,000 views for that Monday Night Live alone. So it's so thanks very much for everyone that was a part of it, for all the people that have commented, liked, watched, sat through, looked at his head, for all those Monday nights in a row. I do appreciate your support, the feedback that's been given, the connectivity that has allowed us to keep being a part of. As I said, from June to October, I think I did actually between 15 to 18 hours. I said solid 15 to 18 hours average per week. The amount of presentations that I did, it was probably about 150 to 200 in the space of 4-month period, which is a lot. But it is what I do and what we love doing, and what we love you, and we love doing it. We're grateful to have a great man, Jason Banks, join our Love Me Love You team up in Queensland, who, if you want to speak or be a part of an amazing human being that does amazing things, get in contact with Jason Banks, superstar. Anyway, so thanks very much. I'm waffling on now. So thanks very much for everybody. Really appreciate your time, your support. 2021 is going to go berserk. We really appreciate everything that it is. Keep being grateful. Be mindful of your experiences. Keep investing in yourself. Take care. Make sure that if you do need support, that Love Me Love You, you can reach out to us at support@lovemeloveyou.org.au, and through our support pathway program, we will make that happen. We are still contactable over the holiday Christmas period, but we might be. I might be busy, sort of either riding my bike or stuffing my face. So it might just take a little bit longer to get back to you, but make sure that you're all doing it right for yourself, because everyone's a champion, and we deserve so much more for this life. So appreciate it, and good luck, and Merry Christmas, and hope Santa is very nice to you, and if he's not, it means you need to be nicer. So thanks very much, and cheers. Bye bye.